Fellas, in this video, I want to talk about how to stop feeling guilty for the man you used to be. Maybe you're somebody who struggles with past mistakes that you've made. Maybe you've acted in ways that you were not proud of. You've said things that you were not proud of. You've done things that you were not proud of. And it's almost like you're just trapped to the past. You know, like you can't let it go. And maybe even people in your life, they won't let you let it go. Maybe they remind you about it. So if that's you, you're in the right place, man. I know it sucks. I've dealt with this myself too. And I just want to share with you some tips that have helped me be able to learn how to let go of the past and free myself from mistakes that I've made so that I can move forward and learn and grow. So I had, I've done therapy and stuff like that, but there was this specific therapy. It was called Internal Family Systems, IFS. Now, I was already kind of on my journey as far as growing and, I'd already quit drinking, but I still had this, this way of showing up in a relationship that was just not healthy when I got triggered, by my partner and stuff. So I had eventually come across IFS. And to be honest with you, I didn't go super deep into it. I did touch on it. I did go to a few sessions. And what it taught me was that there's different parts to us, our personality, who we are. We are made up of different parts. And these parts are developed from our childhood. Now, for example, when I was young, like maybe like 13, 14, 15, I had kind of a tumultuous household. Those years when I was a teenager, that's where I wasn't getting along with my pops. And that's where a lot of things get developed, like your coping skills, how you handle things. And at that age, I started carrying like a lot of anger. I wasn't happy in the household. And I started to like develop this certain part of me that didn't feel safe, that had to protect himself in certain ways. Being on this journey, I've learned that that particular part of me would show up whenever I got triggered in certain ways. So when I was interacting with my partner and say I'm in a conversation or something's coming up in the relationship where I don't feel safe, I don't mean like physical safety, it's like emotional safety. When that would come up, that's when I would kind of lash out like in this 13, 14-year-old type of way. And I did this for years. And I didn't even know what was going on until I was able to kind of, get on this journey of growth. So internal family systems really helped me understand that we're made up of a bunch of different parts. Okay, like I said, and it's important to be able to learn about those parts. I had to go back and learn about that 14, 15-year-old kid that was angry. You've got to go back and give that part of yourself the love that you didn't get when you were a kid. And what that looks like is being able to like talk to yourself in moments. So I had to learn how to like, say when I got triggered or when my partner did something that kind of pissed me off or something like that, I had to really like talk to myself and be like, hey, Bryce, you're safe, man. That's that part of you that's being activated. And that part likes to jump in the driver's seat of the car and just drive the car. And what I had to learn was that that's not my authentic self. When that 14, 15-year-old boy is getting activated and he want to drive the car, that's not who I really want to be in my life. And I had to really understand this and learn this and kind of retrain myself to show up in a healthier way. And I was only able to do that by learning how to give the love to that younger part of myself, give the love to that hurt little boy and let him know like, yo, it's cool that you're angry about something. It's cool that you might feel like you're not being understood or you're not being heard or whatever it might be. But you can't be showing up like this. You have to you literally have to talk to yourself this way. Whether you're talking to yourself, writing things out, this was very helpful for me. It allowed me to start rewiring how I kind of show up in the world, specifically in relationships. Because if you're doing this type of behavior, man, this will damage your relationships until you get a hold on this. You have to really improve your self-awareness, man. You got to improve your emotional intelligence. And I talk about this in a lot of my videos, and I'll be sure to leave some links for you. All right, if you ever dealt with this, leave me some comments and let me know some of your stories and how these types of behaviors have affected you, all right? Because I know a lot of us struggle with this. All right, so you have to accept those past behaviors. You have to accept those parts of you too and just kind of understand that you were only doing the best that you could with what you had. And what I mean by what you had is by the skills that you had or the skills that you didn't have. You may or may not have those tools to learn how to regulate your emotional state when you get really pissed off. You may not have even ever seen that happen. So it's like, how can you know how to do that if you've never seen it? That's what I dealt with. I didn't know how to even show up that way. So I had to, just like most of us, you have to eventually take responsibility for who you are and where you are in your life. And you have to go on that path and on that journey to equip yourself with these tools so that you no longer show up from that hurt place. A big part of this is learning to accept those parts of yourself. And this is going to help free you from just like certain behaviors that you might be exhibiting that are not healthy. You may be lashing out at your partner. You may be cussing people out. Understand that you do not possess the tools in order to not do that. But it's your responsibility to equip yourself with these tools. Now, once you can accept that, hey, I may not have acted in the healthiest of ways when I got triggered. And again, I want to highlight that this is not to make excuses about somebody's behavior. This is not to sit around and be like, oh man, I ain't know any better. Like, no, this is just to highlight things so that you can grow and you can move forward and you can release yourself from the handcuffs of your past mistakes. Because a lot of us, we might dwell on those types of behaviors and we beat ourselves down. And like I said, you may be around other people that remind you of that behavior. You might have to deal with the mother of your kids that you may not be with anymore. You might have to deal with your children who may have seen you act in certain ways, and it kind of lives with them. So you have to be intentional and be diligent with learning how to shift certain patterns in your life so that you can show up in a more healthy, authentic way. So acceptance is very important, like I said. Also being able to learn from those past mistakes. Like I had to learn from when I showed up and I was cussed and name called. Why was I doing that? It's because of what I saw. Now, this is not to pass blame on anybody. This is just to acknowledge and be aware of, like, that was things that I saw in my household. It was behaviors that I picked up on. And I was just replaying those types of behaviors. And I'm blessed to have been able to kind of being able to shine the light on that so that I could change it. And when the light gets shined on behaviors, you want to learn how to start finding the lessons in your unhealthy behavior. You want to find those lessons, man. In that crappy behavior that you may be showing, there's lessons in it. Life is trying to teach you something. The universe is trying to teach you something that you need to correct. So you really want to kind of hone in on that and start to tweak that. But it's really important to also heal that hurt version of yourself. And some stuff may even stem back from when you're even younger that you may not even remember. You may be acting in a way now, currently in present time, and that behavior was developed way back when. It's deeply rooted in you. So if your relationships are not going how you want them to go, if you're not behaving in ways that you want to behave, and you know what I mean too. If you clicked on this video, or if you're watching this video up to this point, you know what type of behaviors I'm talking about. When you're getting out of pocket, when you're not acting in integrity, you want to heal the hurt versions of yourself. I'm not going to get all into like trauma and stuff like that. I'm not a therapist, so I try to be mindful of talking about stuff like that, but it does stem back into that too. Your traumas, man, your childhood wounds, you want to work on that stuff because it will continue to show up in present day. Once you understand this type of stuff, man, you start to shift your mindset a little bit and you start to implement that acceptance. You got to accept who you were, who you're trying to be, and just realize that nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes in life. Some mistakes are more crucial than others, but we all make mistakes. And it's important to sift through those mistakes and find those lessons so that you can apply them in your life and really start to show up in a more authentic way. Really start to show up in a way that you are proud of. If this video provided you with any value, please smash that like button. It really helps the reach of this video. It'll help reach other men that can benefit from this content. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. Check out my playlist for emotional intelligence. If you want a one-on-one coaching call, please message me on the IG. And that's all I got in this one. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.